Jim A10 Miller gets matched up with Alexander Hernandez. And what are we all asking ourselves? Alexander Hernandez is going to come out hot. Will Jim Miller be able to survive? The answer was absolutely. He was. And he actually won the first round. Jim Miller won the first round because Alexander Hernandez came out, what do you know, poised, patient, right? Not trying to take your head off with every shot. So that definitely worked into his favor. However, man, the thing that I didn't really anticipate, I knew Alexander Hernandez has good takedown defense, but Jim Miller really could not get a takedown on him. He also wasn't forcing the action, but he could not get that takedown until late in the fight when it didn't really matter at that point, or it was kind of too late. So that's the story. How impressed are you with the Alexander Hernandez's ability to keep the fight standing?
Extremely impressed, Derek, and not only with his ability to keep the fight standing, but with his entire kind of transformation he has taken as a fighter. I wish he wasn't going to go down to 145 because he proved he can hang with some of the big dogs in the 155-pound class. But the fact that Hernandez was able to kind of overcome all these issues he's been going for and stand in there and do it for that long and stay poised and calculated and controlled his emotions in there spoke levels to me, Derek, because this is a fighter we have seen go on a roller coaster of emotions, man. The highest of highs and the lowest of lows has happened to Alexander Hernandez, and he's finally coming into his form as a fighter. And this is one where it was such a good fight for both people. Like, I don't think you can't discredit Miller for this one, man. He gave it his all. He gave a good fight. And towards the end of the fight, that's when he started pushing more of the pace. But in the middle, he couldn't really do much because Alexander Hernandez was pushing so hard, man, and controlling his own kind of style of fight. So you love to see it. In my opinion, neither of these guys kind of lose any kind of motion or credit or anything. This was just a good fight, and good to see Hernandez kind of come back and give a good scrap in.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, man. I mean, Jim Miller, I think that he also proved to the people it doesn't matter. Put the young dogs against me. You know what I mean? I'm still here. I will be here for UFC 300. But for Alexander Hernandez, I think this spoke even larger volumes because when Jim Miller had Alexander Hernandez's neck with like 15 seconds left in the fight, Alexander Hernandez, first off, showed great poise and didn't just crumble in that moment. And when they asked him, what were you thinking in that moment? He was like, don't fuck this up. Just don't fuck this up. And it's like, it goes to show though, man, this dude's putting a lot of pressure on himself, right? So for him to be able to finally come out victorious after a couple of skids, it's a good spot. It's a good spot to be in. Jim Miller, of course, will be back, man. But I thought we're going to see Alexander Hernandez gas out Jim Miller, get on top of him, TKO him. We were a lot closer to that plus 415 submission prop right there for Jim Miller, man. But fantastic performance. Alexander Hernandez's hands look sharp. He was tagging up Miller, kind of beating the man up, pretty early on. A lot of people were saying this is like a dad and his son fighting in the front yard in Thanksgiving right here, man. Like, that's what this fight looks like. But this was a fun one. This was a fun one for sure.